This is kind of an unplanned live stream. I just wanted to do this. I know it's really late, so I doubt anyone in my time zone is going to be watching this, but you never know. I have people from all over the world on my YouTube channel, so it wouldn't surprise me if I saw one or two people watching, but this isn't going to be a long one. I just want to talk a little bit about something that I think is really unfortunate, which is bisexual people who kind of choose to just hide the queer part of who they are. And it is part of who you are. You know, you can't really, oh, see, I do have a viewer. I was right. um, now it says I have two. Okay, cool. So I'm not talking to myself. But, anyway, now I have three? What? I'm doing this in the middle of the night. I didn't think anybody would be watching. Um, but okay, so it's first of all, I just want to explain that there is a lot of misunderstanding about bisexuality. A lot of people don't think that it's even a real thing. There's this belief that if you're bisexual, you're just gay and you haven't figured it out yet. And there's also people who really don't understand what it is. People think that bisexual people are more likely to cheat. There are all sorts of things that people assume, and it's, you know, I just want to clarify that all that it really means is that you're kind of capable of being sexually attracted to males and females. It doesn't really mean that that you are gonna like them both equally. Some people like it like 50-50, like they don't have a preference. Some people prefer one more than the other, even though they're still capable of being attracted to the other. And for some people, it's just sexual, like they're romantically interested in just one, but they are sexually attracted to both. And some people are vice versa. Some people are romantically interested in both, but only sexually interested in one. And you know, there's all sorts of different things like that. But I want to talk about bisexual people who kind of deal with, you know, I've talked about this before, but when you are a queer person, you come into the world, automatically you're going to feel like queer by definition. I don't know if the definition has changed, but it used to just literally mean weird, and that was it. So you know that you're not really gonna blend in with the vast majority. There's something about you that's different. And then there's all sorts of ideas being shoved at you. The idea that it's not natural, who you're attracted to is unnatural or immoral, who you are, your identity, your gender identity, whatever it is, that it's unnatural or that it's immoral or that it's a mental illness. And you have all these thoughts floating in your head, and you have to think, you know, if you are interested in philosophy and understanding moral philosophy, what's right and wrong, what's natural, what's not natural, religion, all sorts of things like that, and psychology, mental health. If you're interested in studying this stuff and you're LGBT, it's almost like a part of you feels like you have to, because what you're studying is really, you know, you're kind of at stake, because if you end up discovering something that proves that it is a mental illness or it is immoral, then or it's unnatural, then you have to deal with that. And obviously, you wouldn't want that to be the case, but you have to first kind of ease your mind and prove to yourself that it isn't. Some people come into the world with really accepting families and support, and everyone just teaches you that it's not unnatural, it's not wrong, so like, don't worry about it. And they never have to worry about it. But most people, and even those people, still have to go out into the world and realize that they're going to be treated really differently. And you know, it's because all sorts of people believe that it is wrong. It doesn't matter what you believe. So if you can figure out for yourself that it's not wrong and you don't feel any kind of shame for being with who you love or for being who you are, that's great. But, you know, there's so many levels to accepting yourself, and there's so many ways that people carry what's called internalized homophobia without realizing it. And internalized homophobia is basically hate, you know, it's what it sounds like. It's kind of hating that part of yourself and wishing you could change it, but also knowing that you can't. And there are a lot of people, from what I've seen, it's mostly bisexual men, but I really haven't like had that much exposure to the other side of it, so I'm sure that there are plenty of bisexual women who do this too, but I see a lot of bisexual men, and I feel like the reason that I think it's more likely to affect men is probably because it's a patriarchal thing, that a man is supposed to marry a woman and you're supposed to have kids, also taught in religion, and people grow up hearing this and creating their ideal future in their mind. You say, I want to grow up, I want to have a wife, I want to have kids, I want to get married, I want to do all these things, I want to have a nice job, I want to live in a nice house, the American dream, white picket fence, and you grow up and you get this idea in your head of how things are supposed to be, and then you realize that there's this other part of you that maybe throws a wrench in that, and you of course naturally want to throw that away and say, no, I'm not gonna, this is still my dream, this is still what I want. And what I've seen with bisexual men is that a lot of them have said that they're just they're like, yeah, I like guys sometimes, and I've like done this and that with them, but I still am gonna marry a woman, and I would never marry a guy. And I hear this and I'm like, okay, but why? And usually almost 100% of the time it's because they have some religion or some type of belief in their head that they think that they're supposed to, and even when they're doing something with a guy they feel guilty about it, and they numb themselves. They say it's no big deal, doesn't matter. Some of them think it's wrong and just do it anyway, and it's this very numb mentality of just doesn't matter, I'm gonna do whatever I want, but really I'm gonna marry a woman, and they tell themselves this over and over. And what they're really doing is kind of throwing themselves under the bus, because if you go out into the world and you tell yourself that you're supposed to have certain things, you're not going to end up finding what you actually want. And there's this video, and I can put a link in the comments so you can watch it, or I can put it in the description, but yeah, I'll put it in the description. It's called Finding the One, and it's about how to kind of manifest someone that you want. And what it really is, even if you don't believe in like law of attraction or manifestation or anything like that, or soulmate connections with people, I understand a lot of people don't believe in that, and that's totally fine. But there's this one tip in the video. It's called 10 Tips to Attract Your Life Partner, and one of the tips is sort of writing down 15, I think it's 15 things that you want. And the reason that if it's 15 is that if you just do like 4 or 5, it's easy to think of like 5 things that you want in a partner. But if you're doing 15, the things are going to be getting so specific that you're eventually going to just kind of have tapped into that person energetically, and you're already kind of, who it is at that point. So what you're writing down is accurate, and then you write that down, you kind of pull that person into your life. And if you don't take the time to write down what you want in a person, you're just sort of like floating around and waiting for somebody to cross your path. And that's okay. You will still cross paths with all of your soulmates in your lifetime. You're gonna meet everybody that you're supposed to meet, but it's for you to know what you want, and to make sure that you're not just kind of basing what you want on things that you've been told you should want. So that's what makes me sad. That's why I feel like these people are depriving themselves of joy, and they're telling themselves otherwise. And so many people do this in so many other areas of their life. And I wanted to talk about this specifically because it's I've seen it come up a few times in my personal life, and it makes me really sad, because you deserve better than that. You don't deserve to feel like you have to do anything with your life. And a lot of them get really defensive. They think that you're judging them if you try to help them or give them advice. you know, nobody's judging you. Like, I'm not judging you. I can only speak for myself. But you have to stop being defensive and worrying that someone's judging you, because that speaks very little to your confidence. And I think that if you were more sure of yourself and confident, you wouldn't really be concerned with whether or not anyone's judging you, because that's their problem, and you know it. You know not to take their judgment seriously because you already have a pretty firm idea of who you are. And when someone challenges that, it doesn't make a difference to you because it's not weak. It's not a weak version of who you are. It's the truth, and you know it. So there's no reason to be defensive. It's just not a question. But when you get defensive, it shows that you don't feel 100% confident with who you are. And that's usually because you're not being yourself. And we don't like people who shine a light on the things we're trying to avoid. So, you know, don't blame me. You know, I'm not really doing anything other than pointing out what's already there, and that's on you. So really, it's no skin off my ass what you do with your life, who you marry. It doesn't make a difference to me, but I just feel bad for you because I don't think you really want to, you know. And hey, if you're bisexual, you could marry whoever you want. You could marry a man, you could marry a woman, but you should never marry someone because you think you're supposed to. And you know, that, because that's just, to me, that's a tragedy, and to the other person too. I mean, can you imagine being married to someone and then finding out that, you know, they only married you because of their religion or something? Like, th- that's just, come on, don't do that to people. And again, don't, you know, I can already hear people saying, like, I would, that's not what it is, or I wouldn't do that, or, you know, that would be wrong, but that's not what's happening. I would marry someone if I loved them. Like, I hear you, I get it, but there's still something in your mind that's telling you that you're supposed to. You underestimate the power of societal influence and brainwashing. You know, when ideas are pushed on you and, you know, it's hammered into your head since you're a baby, you don't realize that it's not your own thoughts and desires. So just be mindful of that. And that's the purpose of this video. So thank you for watching. I just wanted to talk about this and kind of vent a little, and hopefully somebody can watch this and it can help them. And if not, at least I put it out into the world anyway. So thank you for watching. Um, See you next time. I'll put that video in the comments.